enough. You are not going to the right places. You are not doing the right things. So the lives that are tied to that mission that God has given to you are not being blessed as a result of that. That is why we take this as important. That is why we see a need for us to invest in programs like this. And I'm really very glad for the crop of people that we have here today. I don't want us in any way to take it for granted. I want us to ensure that our attention is as undivided as possible, and try as much as possible to be open, ask questions. Don't say, oh, me, I don't need this information, or I don't need this. Just be open up yourself, ask questions, If you even have things personal about career and all, just let it out, and I'm sure you will get sufficient help. I'm sure that today we'll have solutions to a lot of issues, personal and career-wise. Maybe I should just share one or two experiences in the course of this. So I had a particular person who had some skills in tech, but he didn't even know what LinkedIn was. Like, he was not anywhere online. He's on Facebook, but the only thing he puts there is just happy birthday, like once a year. And that's the only thing, nothing else. So what happens? He's just there, sitting down, trying to find opportunities and all. So I met him and I told him, okay, you have done this. When he gave me his CV, I used to call them blank CVs. I'm not a HR professional, but I also recruit in some ways too. When I see those kind of CVs, I call them blank CVs. You know what is on the CV? Primary school, secondary school, university, NYSC, and that's all. Nothing else. I mean, as a recruiter, I know our expert here will attest that for every application you put out, you get like 200 of such kind of CVs. So what is showing that you are exceptional in any way for me to say, I want to bring you on and give the role to you? Anybody that put an opening out is looking for the best person to fill it. And you are sending a CV that 300 other people are also sending. So is it randomly that I will pick you and decide to, you understand? I used to always say that every company owner, every business owner will not see good thing and let it go. I've seen cases where people go for interview and the role does not even exist. But they see that this guy will do this and they create that space and let that person, because what? Nobody lets value go. But in between that primary school, secondary school, university, NYSC, there are several other things that have happened to that person that shows that that person is really exceptional, but he's not putting it in that document. And that document is my first impression of him or her. So maybe you were in Lions Club, for example, and you were the secretary, or you were the chairman, and you led programs where you did great stuff. But you forgot to put that in your CV, or maybe you were even in church fellowship, and you were president, you were secretary, so for example, there's somebody I recruited recently she was secretary of a fellowship for 2 years. And the way she detailed what she did, sincerely, that was the main reason why I selected her. So she detailed it that, okay, she was in charge of more than 2 million naira monthly. She efficiently helped them save more than 30%, reduce their spending by 30%, and all. That was the singular thing that caught my attention to say this person is the right person for the job. But somebody else did that exact role, but didn't think it was important to put in their CV. Do you understand? So because of this kind of things is the reason why we do this. So I was talking to that person. I just sat with him, had like a 2-hour session with him. So we rewrote his CV. For 2 years, he has been sending that CV out. Most people don't even call him. Those that call him, he doesn't scale. So when we rewrote it, and I asked you, okay, what else did you do? He said, I was a member of a club in school, speakers, and we did a competition. Did you participate? Yes. We even won an award. We won second place. put it inside your, do you understand? When we were done with the CV, even he could attest to it that this is now solid. All those little things, sincerely, it began to apply again, and within a month, very true story, within a month, he got like 2 openings. One of them offered him a job. He started that job, and he went on himself to, to take those simple tactics and put it optimize his profile on his Facebook, on his everything. He began to share quality information and thereabout. Within a month, somebody else reached out to him via LinkedIn and said, oh, I saw your profile. I'm thinking that you will be a good fit for this opening. So he spoke to me. I said, no problem, go ahead. He took that job. That was like ×2 the first one that he got. Sincerely, and this person is even somebody most of us know. Sincerely, in a short while again, he got another offer. I now said, no, this one you got is good enough. The company is good at that. Use at least a year there before you move on. And within that short space of time, he's been getting offers over and over and over. The truth is that many times God has answered the prayers of many of us. Like Tete, he has answered the prayer. We just need to, do some little tweaking, and you begin to see the results of those prayers. Do you get the point? That was one testimony. Another is a personal one for myself. So before, I used to be all cruise online. Like, if you even follow me on social media now, you know that I play a lot. I used to be 100% just cruise. But at some point, I decided to say, no, let me begin to also share some of the work that we do. So part-time, I just ensure that at least every week I share something about my work on my space. So I did that consistently for a while. Now, what happened? Somebody just called me. Then I just moved newly to Lagos. That person, I've not seen him for 12 years. But he has been following me on social media for like 3 years. And has been seeing what I've been putting out. So he just called me. And he's like, Tayo, I have even forgotten. He had to reintroduce himself. For me to say, oh, I remember, I've been following you on social media. So I work with the government, and they are trying to do this. And I think you're a perfect person for that. That was how I got like one of the biggest deals I've ever gotten. And I didn't even do the normal screening everybody else did, because it came highly recommended. From what? From me just consistently showing up about my capacity. So many times we underpin these kind of things, and that is me as a business owner, not as a job. So some of us might be like, no, this is for people looking for jobs. No. Because, impressions, I used to call it perceived competence. It's just the perception of the competence you have that people have in their mind that they work with. So there are many people currently now that have already have a perception of what kind of thing you can do and it's based on what they see. So if you do this much and you share this much, they probably are going to scale you on this much level. Do you understand? So that is why we are doing this kind of event, to just help people get into this more. Do you understand? So that we can be conscious more about the kind of our social quotient, the kind of image you paint, both offline and online, about your work and career. Because you never know in what ways it can be of help to you. I have tons and tons and tons of other experiences to share, but I will just hold on that as we move on in the program. So again, I want to really, really encourage you that you be open, whatever case you are, a job seeker, a business owner, a senior executive, whatever, just open up your mind, be ready to learn, be ready to unlearn, be ready to improve and adjust in every way you can. So welcome to this experience. We hope that you have a wonderful time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was so profound. And I know that he has already watered our hearts now, so we should be ready to take in a lot that we have for us today. I'll just run us through some of the things that we should expect today. So he has talked about CV and how LinkedIn helped someone to get a job and like tons of invites for job. So we'll be having that. We're having talk on how to make your CV look very attractive, taking you away from that angle of blank CV to the one that is solid. So we also be talking on optimizing your LinkedIn account. Then also be talking about how to, when you get to an interview, when you are eventually called for an interview, because having a great CV, having a great LinkedIn account is not enough. It's not all that you need to get a job. When you are in the front of the people that matter that wants to make the decision, you also need to be able to convince them in person that I'm very good for this job, I'm the right person. So we'll also be having that session too. And also we'll be having like a mini session to just have, we'll pick people at random where we interview them just for our professionals to be able to pick some of the things that probably you have done wrong that you were not even aware of. So we have that session too. But right now, we'll be moving on to the very first session on our program today, which will be for CV writing. And then the person that will be taking it for us, she's a senior human resource manager in one of the most reliable banks in Nigeria. And she has experience in talent management, in learning, employee engagement, program development, in HR operations and strategy. She is a master's degree holder in managerial psychology. With a round of applause, please. I want you to help me welcome Mrs. Olukemi Ifekoya.
Morning. How are you doing today? Alrighty. Thank you for this opportunity, Daniel Tribe. Totally appreciate it. And I think that we can't take things like this away. We really have to use the strengths we have in-house, and ensure that we are carrying everyone along. I think is really, really important. And not just in sessions like this. So it's okay to do one-on-ones. It's okay to have, to reach out to people, to mentor people, or to just ask people to mentor you as well. So I'll start from, but Dadem has pretty much, done the technical bit, which is great, because I wasn't going to do technical. I have 20 minutes, and I don't have slides. But I wanted to talk about CV writing from, maybe you say resume writing, and I'll tell you why I differentiated, from the angle of the recipient on the other side and how you want to be mindful about showing up. For me, like Brother Adam alluded to as well, the beginning of all this is who we are and where we are going, right? We're all on a journey. And a few weeks ago, we had a message around our purpose and our race as well. So it's really important that first and foremost, we are connecting to our source, because everyone has a source, right? So I always say to myself, never assume that people don't have altars that they have bowed to before coming to this interview with you. You didn't come, you're not the only one that bowed to God. And people bow to different things. And people come with different confidences, I'm coming in the name of the Lord, yeah. But I don't know what anyone else is coming in. So never be naive. There is no demilitarized zone. We live in this world, isn't it? So you must connect to your source. And I think that's the start. The Bible says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness therein, the world and everything in it. So if you have a father that gives you access to that kind of resource, you already started well. Do you see? So I think it's a great place to have started, And then you start to see that in preparing for these things, in being ready for the opportunities ahead of you, there are resources, there are things that you're reminded of stuff, you are given opportunities, you are given information. You then need to pull all that together and make sure you are representing yourself beautifully. And I believe very strongly that God enables us to do that, significantly so. So my job, my second round of interviews was going to be with the Chief Operating Officer and the CEO, just out of school, really young, and all of that. So YouTube wasn't a resource to me at that time, wasn't accessible to me. A few days before my interview, I watched a message, a Pastor Poju message. He had just gotten on TV, and he was talking about how in his family, he's not the first child, he's not the second child. He's not the first boy. He has no special position, so to speak. So he's always had to, make that extra effort to show up, to get anything special from his parents. And I could connect to that. I'm a fifth child of 6, fourth girl. There's a last born, so she took my special position after just 4 years of enjoying it. So I was just a number, to be honest. In fact, some people didn't know I existed. They would always think I'm my immediate elder sister, because we look so much alike. So they just merged us into one person in some instances. So that was the analogy. That was the conversation I had in that interview. They were asking me about my person, my family, and all. And I was saying to them that, I'm fifth of 6 children, da-da-da-da-da. And I was speaking really what Pastor Poju had said. And the CEO leaned back. He's number something of 17 children. So he connected to that story and to that. I don't know what else I said. In fact, someone had said to me that I said I wasn't available for 3 months. And she called me to say, "Are you really not?" I said, "No, I'm available." So something even went wrong somewhere. But I got the job, isn't it? Because I was able to make that connection. Your CV is the first connection you are making with these people. In Nigeria, we've gotten away with a lot. Because truly, a lot of, please, I hope HR people won't come at me. A lot of us are lazy at reading CVs. There's a lot of referral that goes on in Nigeria, whether we like it or not. Because it's just a more comfortable place sometimes, And so, wading through CVs is not really, it's not interesting. So for someone to, to recognize something in your CV, like Brother Adam said, you really have got to put that punchline in it. So, we're talking about CV structure, so let me be mindful to stay with the topic. I don't have slides. There are 1,000,001 resources online to help you write a perfect CV. And what I would do is I would give you 5 resources and I would ask the team to send to you. So I'm not sending you back to Google. I'm just going to give you 5 resources that will help you nail it. Some videos, some links, word grammar correction things, and you'll be fine. But that's just the technical, right? So let's talk about content. Let's talk about who is behind the scenes receiving what you've sent. And we've got to be mindful, that there are different stages in our careers. So right out of school, those are the blank CVs Brother Adam is talking about. To be honest, you are facing most times an applicant tracking system. It's you and a computer. So you've got to beat the computer. Do you see? It's not, the computer doesn't see if it's bland or not. The computer will only see after you've come. It has invited you for assessment already. And if you've passed assessment, perhaps somewhere along the line, someone has helped you brush it up. So let's start with entry level, right out of school, and I'll go on to the others. So entry level, yes, applicant tracking systems, you probably have to face them up until mid-manager level. An executive probably doesn't need to get on an applicant tracking system. So what I mean by applicant tracking system is you go on a company's website and it then starts to ask you to fill out a form on the system. It then uses that information to determine whom it would shortlist or not shortlist. So because the HR person doesn't want to sit down going through CVs, he has asked a a tech person like Bradadem to build a system for him or her where it forces you to put your class of degree, your course of study, the school you went, all of that. And on the basis of that, it puts you in or out of the process. So it's you and a computer. So how do you beat this computer? Let's start with that. So first things for, when you're facing an applicant tracking system is you need to look very closely or study the job description that has been put out. So it says we're looking for graduates, who have tech skills, who have that. Do you have tech skills? What are your tech skills? What tech skills are named in that advert? That's what you want to focus on. I'm not saying, clearly, don't lie. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Because remember, someone's come talk to us about interviews. And you never want to be the candidate that went into an interview and did not have the experience to back what they had said. Even if you were just able to, ride the wave. But it's so disappointing when you found a great applicant on paper who comes into the room and can't defend the first ABC of what they wrote. It feels like fraud. That's the way it feels. You almost want to mark that candidate to say, never show up here again. So you don't want to be that person. So you apply, yes, amazing motivational speakers have told us, apply for stuff. You are the man for the job, which is great. Yes, you are the man for the job. But let's start from somewhere. Let's start from an anchor, isn't it? So yes, like he said, someone was a general secretary in a fellowship. So she has some accounting skills, isn't it? She has some cost management skills. So this thing says, cost management or finance or da-da-da-da-da. You can start to use those things to put them out there. You can build your CV to reflect what you are applying for. Maybe a point to make here is a CV is a life document, right? For me, it changes per job that I apply for. That's the honest truth. I'll give you an example. I have, as today, about 15 years work experience, professionally. And I saw an advert for an organization I really wanted to get into. And it said, above 8 years of business partnering experience. So my business partnering experience in itself is about 7 years. I've done other things, learning and development, all of that, in the other years. My CV would usually say, before now, 12 years experience in human resources, right? What I did for this one, I said 7+ years in business partnering, which was the focus of this job. And then I put the other things in HR, operations, and centers of expertise. Yeah. The applicant tracking system shortlisted me here. Do you see what I mean? At the end of the day, I looked at the job and I'd gone past it. It wasn't really what I wanted. But I wanted this organization. So the organization was the attraction to me. So we moved on from there. But what I'm trying to say is I got to the first gate because I adjusted my positioning so that the applicant tracking system saw me as suitable for the opportunity. Do you see what I mean? So your CV is a live document. It's alive. You can change it 2 times. You can, if I'm doing 3 applications overnight, I will do 3 different CVs overnight as required. I will make the changes that I need to make to reflect the opportunity I am positioning myself for. In all of this, I'm saying the things, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting what is important to a certain job because that's the job, that's what's up for sale. Do you see? It's like, what are you selling per time? Stabby has multiple businesses. She won't sell the, what's it called now, the supermarket management software to me because she knows I don't have a supermarket. But there are things she will sell to me because she knows I'll buy. Do you see? When she had the fashion business, I was a customer. Do you see what I mean? So you've got to put forward what you are selling per time. So it's important that, your CV clearly reflects what you're applying for. So I'm trying to do this with some kind of structure. So we talked about entry level, and we talked about your biggest challenge being the applicant tracking system. So you get through the applicant tracking system, right? But you're still putting a CV in there, and you're putting a cover letter in there. Do you see? So a few things to note. No matter what, even if you finished school 24 hours ago, you shouldn't have a bland CV. There's no excuse for a bland CV because you've gone through life, isn't it? You helped your mom sell in the shop. You joined your auntie to do one or two things. You've planned a party, isn't it? You know how people can position things. And I'm not saying say the things that you haven't done, but position the things that you have done in a way that puts you in good light, in a way that makes you attractive to the employer that you are applying to. Let me talk a bit about early career. So early career is, maybe you have 3-4 years of work experience and, you are thinking, I've done enough here. It's time to move. The tech guys, like Brother Adam was saying, in 6 months, they're out. Or 1 year, they're out. But let's assume that people still work in banks like I do, and they do 4 years before they decide to move somewhere else. So at this point, you have done some work. It's not a bland CV, and you're no more reflecting what you did with your mom in the shop. Because at that point, it doesn't quite work again. You can't be saying, you can put general secretary somewhere at the, like, interests, But at this point, you want to highlight your achievements and your profile so far, in these 2 to 3 years, 4 years. What have you done? What have you experienced? What problems have you solved? So someone say, but I'm just an operations person sitting at the back office. But what can you quantify the work you've done in the last 2 years? Can you say that you've processed up to, 200,000 applications, with a value of $200 million or something somewhere? It shows that you understand the value, first, of what you do and how, what you do on your decks impacts the organization as a whole. So you are growing now in your career. People want to know that you are not just still the fresh out of school graduate that is just still claiming, I got first prize, I got Dean's Award. You've crossed that line. So now you've got to be winning employee of the month kind of things. Those are the kind of things you can highlight. And if you have not, it's fine. But what value have you added to your organization in the past 3-4 years? What can you quantify in a certain way, what you've done? Avoid, in your CV, and we do it a lot, we put that career objective there. So the career objective is for who? I want to work in an organization that, if you want to, waiting concern me, But a recruiter wants to see that, I've worked in a tier 1 bank, and I worked in the operations team. I processed 200,000, whatever, in the past 4 years. I managed and led this project. I introduced, I innovated around this. I worked with a team of people, or I was the support person on a project to change software. Do you see? It's got to be actual things, almost verifiable, so that when you get to your interview, it gives you talking points. So your interviewer is saying, so I see here that you say that, you did some innovation around a process and it saved, it moved the processing time from 2 hours to 3 minutes. Tell us about that. Star. time to shine. If you really did it, you talk about it, isn't it? So you almost preempt the questions they're going to ask you because you put forward the things that you've achieved. So, just a note. I know the objective thing, we're here, not there. Some people say do it, some people don't say do it. My view is, I'm a recruiter. I don't want to know what you want. I know what I want. And I need to know that you can give me what I want. So I want to look at your CV and not you telling me your objective is to work in a multi-wanting organization, but rather that you've done A, B, C, D, E. And I'm saying, okay, if this person did this and this and that, we are also, innovation focused and da. So this person will be a great fit because I want someone that can think. I don't just want an operations person pressing buttons at the end. I want people that can think. And I want this role to transition into a tech role and da. Do you see? So you've got to, position appropriately. Let me move quickly now. I don't have too much time. So then you go into maybe 7, 8 years work experience. The same thing applies, really. But here you want to show some leadership that you've done. And I'm not saying that they must have appointed you team lead. There are some organizations or some roles, that it's not part of your part to be a team lead that early, or just the way your organization is. But you've led people indirectly. You've supported people. You work in a team, and sometimes you are the one that manages the kitty of the team. You manage the money we contribute for birthdays or something, I'm not saying put kitty there, but you've got to show that you can now step into leadership. If you've had some leadership trainings and all that, you want to put that in as well. And then, of course, mid-senior level to executive, you are still facing an ATS. So that's something we need to be mindful of. When we get to a certain level, we start to think, a bit cocky. Like, they should be looking for me and all of that. But there's some opportunities that are absolutely great that you've got to step out and say, I want this, And then you've got to do some processing to get that done as well. So you look again at the JD, and this is at a more senior level, isn't it? I doubt that an executive needs to go to an ATS. I really doubt that. But at mid-senior level, sometimes you need to go to an ATS. You can't go in there thinking, can they see what I've done? I'm just going to attach my CV. They say put cover letter. You not put cover letter. My years of work experience, there's a humility that comes with applying for jobs. To be honest, the process humbles you, and you've got to truly find that humble person in you to go through it. Sometimes the receptionist will bounce you. Yes, so you have your executive level job in one organization, but you've been working in something microfinance bank, and now you're applying to work in Standard Chartered. Hello. Even the reception will intimidate you. Do you see? So, hold on to your confidence, but you've got to go humble and focused on what you want. Someone will talk about interviews, so I won't go in there, but you can't go to an interview and be fighting with the receptionist. It's part of the process. So let me leave that for that conversation. And then executives. Sometimes we tend to wonder, okay, how many pages should my CV be? And I thought I'll mention it when I talk about this. For entry level, to be honest, a one-pager is perfect. If it's at 1.5, maybe. But, the rule of thumb is you sort of have more room because you have more to express. But even as executive, not, except you're applying for maybe a governorship role or position where you have to put all your projects and all. But you want to minimize, as much as possible. So just a bit on structure before I close out. We've talked about highlighting the things you've done, noting the keywords in the ad, and ensuring that you are adequately reflecting it in your CV. So I've done learning, right? Learning and development, that's training. I've done outsourcing management. I've done, what's the other thing? Business partnering. There's something else, And now I want to apply for a job as head of learning and development or learning and development, whatever, in an organization. Yes, my learning and development might be 2 years, but that's the first thing. Not in terms of the chronology of my experience, but you know that the highlights, we talked about it. So we are talking about a profile and your highlights. Your highlights are talking about your achievements. Your profile is really talking about that entire career and what you've done. But I'm starting it with, I have learning and development experience spanning so countries, managing that. I also, do you see? So you want to continuously highlight what you're applying for, which is why your CV is a live document. All right. And highlights, we talked about achievements. It's important that, again, back to this fraud or no fraud, it's important that you are putting things that are evidence-based. You are not putting evidence in the CV, but you are stating it from such a place of confidence that it's clear that these are things you've done. I processed 200,000 applications, the value of $200 million. Yes, it can be verified, but it does show that you took the time to do that. Now, it leads me to another point. You know how we put skills in our CV? Project management, It can be useful sometimes. One note of warning is that sometimes the ATS, the applicant tracking system, does not recognize bullets. So if you can put in a sentence without it being bullets, if you're facing an ATS, it would help. Sometimes some do not recognize tables and bullets and all of that. So if you can put it in a sentence, it helps you. But I would say that if you can demonstrate in the CV that you are detail-oriented by putting the detail in, it's greater. If you can demonstrate that you have project management skills by putting in the projects you've done, the timelines, how you exceeded stuff, how you saved on time, saved on cost, saved on all of that, it puts you in a better light than just saying skills, project management. Do you see what I mean? So it's important that we're not just being too cliche in our, like you just copied and pasted someone's name and changed the name. Sometimes we forget to change the phone number. Then they start calling someone, so we've all just got to be mindful, of that. And I've talked about personal opinions. And another thing I would mention is you can put your personal opinions in your cover letter. How you see yourself, how you want to project yourself. So you can say, I'm an extraordinary leader with da-da-da-da-da. I've led a team of over 100 people and we achieved blah, 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 blah. I also see myself as that. I see myself as... So that can come across, in your cover letter. So you don't have to cram everything into your CV. So bottom line of this conversation today, the key takeaways for me that I want you to go away with is, one, it's a live document. Your CV is not just one CV you write and then you are done for life. No. As you have more experiences, as you do more things, you can update. You are done with the project. The way you go on LinkedIn to announce, it was great to be a part of this project, we achieved that. And update your LinkedIn profile. Update your CV as well. And it's best when you do it on the go because it's fresh. When you need it, you can update, to reflect the right words and all of that. But if you update in the moment, then you are clearly able to keep track of your achievements and then you are better able to present them. So again, thank you for having me. Again, I end with the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. He leads us, he guides us, and he gives us resources and information that we can use to position ourselves better. We've just got to do the work. I'm like, we were learning yesterday. Some assembly is required, right? When you buy a new toy for your child and all of that. So there's information. You need to put it. Nobody can express your story like you. They can help you with words, and that's what the resources I'll share with you would help you with. But in terms of how you want to be seen and how you want to position and the opportunities you want to pursue, it's really with you to highlight the things that need to be highlighted per situation. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very, very much for that. Maybe you should, Ma, can I request that because we'll take questions now, so that you don't, thank you very much. So that was a very explosive one. Even myself, I had to note a number of things down. And I have questions, even personally. And I hope that one or two of us will also have questions. So I think I always prefer that immediately after a session we take questions, because if you take it later, you might have forgotten or thereabout. So if you have questions, let me see. I have 2 questions already, personally. But if you have questions, let's see your hands. Okay, I can see one hand. Any other person? Like I said earlier, let's open our minds to, okay, maybe the questions will awaken some other ones. So let's take Sister Inka's question first, then I will.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. My question is, you mentioned something around you're applying for a role, and you have a lot of experiences. You are doing learning, you are doing other HR activities or operations. But the particular one you are applying for, let's say learning, to be a manager in their learning department. But that role you have done is not the current role you are in your organization. And with my experience with CVs, people tend to write, or we are advised to write out CVs from the current down to, from the latest to, from when you started your first job. So let's say what I'm applying for is what I've done in my previous job, and that's 2 years ago. Can I bring it up over the current one I'm in, but the year will not be chronologically arranged like that? Is it advisable to do it that way?
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Inka. So what I would advise is that you put it in your highlights or the profile, which is, that first, they call it prime real estate. Okay, let me come. The first half page of your CV, that's the first thing the recruiter says. So leave your chronology as it is, but jumps at the person is your learning experience, even though it was 2 years ago, and the amazing things you did there. So that's how I would go about it. I'll leave the chronology as is, because if you mess it up, then it confuses the recruiter. But put the highlights in your career profile and the highlights of your career.
Thank you, Ma.
Very much, Ma. So maybe since we are here together, let me just be... So my question has turned to 3 now. So let me start from the latest one that I had. Is there a particular order? Do you understand? Because I've seen tons of CVs and thereabout. Is there that the topics, or how do we call it now, should be? Should it be experience, education? Is there a particular order, or can I just order it based on, if there is, can you just give us, okay, this first, then this, then? I used to always think education, experience before education, then maybe projects and all like that. So is there a particular order like that?
Thank you, Baltara. So, again, it takes us back to level of experience, So if you're an intern, it's okay to start from just showing your education. And of course, when you've had a first class, you've won awards. As an intern, absolutely. Entry level, to an extent, you could start with your qualification. If you are going for a fresh out of school graduate training program, and the focus of the advert was minimum of 2-1, it's okay to move on. But once you start to cross that line, then if you have any experience at all, then you've got to put the experience. And now, in terms of order, you have your name, your contact details, and then you go on to the career profile, which is talking about what you've done in the years that you've worked, and then the highlights. So highlights always talks about achievements. That's where we put objectives sometimes. But my view is that as a recruiter, I'm not looking to know what your aim in life is. I just want to know how you can help mine. Juicy. So, which is why I would say put your achievements in almost quantifiable ways as much as you can. If it's an HR job like mine where you can't quantify some things, then, say it as it is. And then you go on to your professional experience. Because you put those highlights, the person wants to see, where is the person working now? You want to put those highlights, and then after that, so experience of your professional life in that chronological order. And it's important, if there are gaps, explain it. I took a year off at this point, Then you put your educational qualifications and then professional qualifications as well. So yes, you went to university, but you now have a CFA, you have ICANN, put it there. And then if you still want to, you can put in your skills at that point as well. Skills, interests, some still request for referees. If you are going for a job that has a regulatory implication in Nigeria, then you actually do need to put your date of birth, you need to put your state of origin, local government, all of that. But you can put that at the end, And most times they will request for it when you get to that stage to say, please include all of this information in your CV. Then you can put that at the end and put your references as well. So in terms of structure, that's what I'll recommend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. So my second question, you answered it partly. It's about the career objective thing. I always think that the reason for that is that to see if it aligns with the company's objective or not, or thereabout. And I've always advised people to, write it in alignment to the role they are. So you won't say, my objective is to be a DJ. And you're applying for an engineering job. Do you get? So what's your take on that? Should it be a complete remove and then highlights stay there? Or probably later in the CV later, you can add something like that. What do you think?
So my view, personal view, is replace objective with achievements. However, if you are going to put objective because perhaps maybe the recruiter said, it's important that we put it. Like Bartayo said, you do need to reflect that you are aligned to the organization you are applying to. So if you are applying to an NGO, you can't go and be talking like you are profit-oriented and all of that. You've got to show some humaneness in line with what they're after. And, you've got to be interested in that, Not everyone is interested in working an NGO, And if you're an NGO type person, don't go to a bank and then say that you want to help humanity because they're about profits, and your ability to make that happen. No matter how humane you are. That movie about the Christian guy that was he was a medical guy at war somewhere. And he said he would never kill. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It was such a difficult, because I just felt you can't be here. So don't put yourself in that situation, except it's God that put you in that situation. By himself is fine because he protected that guy, right? So align as much as possible with the organization. But my preference is that rather you put achievements, quantifiable achievements, and then you put your career summary. So where you've been, and in where you've been, you can put a bit of where you're going as well, which also would reflect your objectives.
Thank you very much, Ma. To my final question. Many years ago, I used to, even though I did not even have a CV for a long time, I used to help people prepare CVs. And one easy hack that I used to do then, I don't know how, so I just copied the old job description, put an extra page after the CV, just paste it there, then white everything out so you don't see it. And once you save it as PDF, you don't even see that anything is there. So there's nothing the software is looking for that will not. I don't know what you think about that practice. So I just wanted your opinion. And it seemed to work many times because that was like, I just copied the whole description as it is, put it there, Because I know all the keywords are in the description. Just put it there. And whatever they put there, the guy will shall always get through the first stage. So I don't know what you think about that kind of practice or whatever.
To be honest, when you are dealing with tech people, you have to be very careful. Tech recruiters have to be tech people themselves. Because the guy has PDF'd it, right? You can't undo and see anything. I think that's, very ingenious. Because the truth is, like I said, you've got to align your CV to reflect the keywords, not buzzwords. Avoid all those buzzing words. But you've got to reflect what's in the job description, So to be honest, I leave it to you tech people to judge this one. I don't know. Is there any way someone can discover it?
If you were looking at it one-on-one, you would. But if it's a software that is doing it, I don't think so.
But the thing is, at some point, they will then, because they are still, in most organizations, there's a manager that will still say, print it for me.
So if you print it, you still not going to.
It will still be whited out.
Yeah, so you
It will be whited out.
Extra page.
Because it's just a blank page.
Yes. So I'm just saying, what do you think about that practice? It seems to help you scale the first
Yes,
but
yes.
not really,
And then you have to defend your...
get you through the rest.
Okay, so to be honest, I think it's an IT technicality. It's an IT technicality that you can use to your advantage. What you then need to do is to be ready for that interview. You've got to be ready. Yes. And the content, the actual content, not the whited out part of your CV would show what your claim to fame is, right? So as long as that's your claim to fame, and there's no way of them, because the truth is, if somebody finds it out, they'll throw the application out. Yeah. But because you are trying to beat a computer, to be honest, I would see it as a technicality, which is what we do when we take the JD and then you look at your CV and start to say, even though in your own organization it said you completed, managing project, but because this has said it as, I don't know, maybe a process change process. You also did a process change project. It's just that the nomenclature is different. So if you then decide to use the nomenclature in the JD for yours, as long as you did the same thing, it's fine. You are trying to beat the applicant system. I mean, it's a computer, So to be honest, as long as there's no way of retrieving that, because if you retrieve it, it will throw out your application, If it's a technicality to beat the applicant tracking system to get you a foot in the door, I don't think that's a problem.
Do we have any other questions? Please, let's put our hands together for her once again. Thank you very, very, very much. I know many of us have experienced Mrs. I before now, but we are experiencing her in another light today. Let's put our hands together again for her. Thank you very much, ma'am. That was a wonderful session. So I would welcome Sister Yinka to invite the next speaker.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Hai. Really appreciate you. I learned a lot. In fact, I felt like I should start updating my CV immediately and help a few of my friends that I've helped with in the past to update their CV. One of the things that I learned is your CV is a live document. It's a living being just as you are. If your CV is not reflecting who you are, then you are not going to get what you want. It's not just about the desire to get the job. It's about you putting yourself as the person that is fit and ready for the job. Thank you so much, man. God bless you, man. So we'll be going on to the next item on our agenda today. So it's going to be the LinkedIn optimization session. And then we'll have excuse me, please. Okay, thank you so much. So we also be having a professional to come and take us. He has over 10 years of experience in human capital development. He's the executive director at EGO Foundation. I don't know if it's pronounced. I don't want to say Ego. So he's the executive director at EGO Foundation. Over the years, he has built a strong capacity for process and project management. He has worked as the COO, that's Chief Operation Officer at Talent Mind Nigeria, a company accelerating talent for leading investment banks across globe. And some of the companies he has some of the companies that Mr. Toluwase have accelerated talent for include, but not limited to, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, ARM, UBA Group. So with a round of applause, I want us to welcome Mr. Toluwase Olaniyan to take us through the LinkedIn optimization session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I wasn't sure if it was me that was being introduced in the first place. Every time the profile gets read, I'm always wondering who this is. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the organizers of this amazing event. Thank you so much for everyone who made it despite the rain. It's been super interesting. And please put your hands together one more time for the first speaker. She's done so well to the topic. But then, since we're in the church, it's usually my style and my way of doing it to say a very quick word of prayer. It's my Father's house, so I'm usually very confident, and I do whatever I like. So if you would allow me, or if you won't allow me, can we please bow our head for a short prayer? And so, our Father and our Maker, we thank you because you're good. Thank you because you're God. Thank you because you are all that we have and all that we are is in you. Thank you for bringing us thus far. And we ask that today's session will mark a turnaround in our life, and that this session will be the best, starting the best years for us. We ask that you would give us insight, give us deep insights, and you allow us grow even from this place in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you so much. My name is Toluwase Olaniyan. I work as the CEO at Warden HCD. Warden HCD is a human capital company, and what we do is to basically accelerate talent. So on the other side, I run an NGO, and I'm supposed to justice to the topic around LinkedIn optimization, which I will do very well. I'll take it from two angles. I'll take it from a personal branding angle, and I'll take it from also a professional angle. Over the years, say 15 years, 16 years, I have, done a bit here and there, recruited for top brands across the globe. But may I shock you that I do not have a university degree. I do not have a university degree. And I like to say this stressfully every time. Because I see a lot of people who say that I don't have this, I don't have that, so that has helped you to put yourself back. I'm sorry, I don't have a university degree. It might be my way of making you want to listen. Oh, yeah, and yes. I have said that even if you don't have a master's, I can't hire you in my organization. So most of my colleagues that I've hired that work with me have either masters or have CIPM because I do HR. So I recruit for companies and I train for companies. I run projects for state government at different level, human capital projects. But hey, again, I don't have a university degree. So my partner in my house, who is my wife, have the first degree in the US, second degree in the UK, but I don't have a university degree. So I like to put that background so that you do not say and you do not focus on the things that you don't have. Rather, focus on the things that you have that would serve as content for your LinkedIn and for every other platform that you have set to jump on. Now, quite excited about what Ifeoluwa had mentioned about your CV. Awesome stuff. Like, she has nailed it, and she has done like justice to it. I had to take my book to take notes, despite the fact that I do LinkedIn, I do CV trainings every day. Because we have a product in my company called the Career Hub HQ, where we do CVs for people. And yes, I charge you for CV. I charge you for CV. So, yes, I mean, the only people I don't charge, that I will not even take your CV to edit for you, is if I have taken you a CV review session, or I've taken you on a CV review training before, and you come back to say, please help me do it, I would not even take your money or take your CV. Go. I have taught you how to do it before. But I have not taught you before. I will collect your money. That money is very important. That's why I used to feed my family. Right? So what she has done this morning, and pardon me, I mean, I'm an Ajegunle boy. At some point, when I cannot speak English again, I would use other languages. So I might need an interpreter. Try no. Package ni ora Jenny. Yeah, so what she had done this morning is what a lot of people pay for. So I like that you take it very seriously. Very, very seriously. She has given us the hacks. She's given us, like the things to look out for. I would not want to take a CV session again, because she has done it. But you would want to, probably go back, ask questions. I saw that a lot of people did not ask questions. Ask questions around how this is being done around this. The most important document you will ever have, ever in your life, is your CV. Or like a profile sheet, which is a CV. Because nobody would want to give you a job and say, please send me your certificates. Have you heard that before? So even if it's a first class, no. The first thing they will ask you is, send me your what? Your CV. So it helps you to get your foot in the door. So if you do not, so ensure it's as good as good. Now, I started from that note of CV, right? So I've been given I have 19 minutes and 30 seconds more. I started on that note because everything you have on your LinkedIn page is a reflection of what you have on your CV. So you don't get people asking you, send me CV, send me CV. That's why we have your LinkedIn page. So it's a public version of what your CV is. So, and that's why it is very important. In fact, so when they ask, would I be the first speaker? I say no. Let there be